Hello, so today's video is going to be about building swarm traps based off of Dr. Leo Shraskin from horizontalhive.com. We'll include that in the notes below. He's got several different free plans for building horizontal hives and a couple different types of swarm traps. We picked the 6-frame lay-ins swarm trap. And I guess we picked it it was the best use of plywood that we thought. So if you follow his plans will basically let you build 6 boxes, and it will build some parts to get you closer to build 4 more. So we opted to buy 3 sheets of plywood and build all 10. So these are the 10 that we built from his plans, and we'll go through the rest of this video showing you how. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with each individual cut as we're doing the plywood. You can go and refer to the cut sheets that we're quickly showing here, as well as go to www.horizontalhive.com to see the cut lists. So basically we're breaking all these pieces down. I have Jill helping me. When you are breaking the plywood pieces down yourself, if you're using a table saw, be very careful, because when you're working with full sheets and all the leverage that you have, an extension past the table, it's really easy to jam the plywood in the blade and cause a bad kickback. So be very careful when you're doing that. So we're cutting out here, you'll see we're cutting out the end walls, and we're cutting out some of the side walls, and we're cutting out the bottoms. We're also cutting out the tops, but when we go through the making the tops video, you'll see that I made a mistake here by cutting these out. I'm not going to elaborate on it now, but when you watch the video for making tops, you'll see what we did wrong, or what I did wrong. So I would advise that when you're going through this, cut out the parts that make up the bottom, and don't cut the parts for the top yet. So breaking down the plywood from the larger sheet good size is the hardest part of this. Once it's broken down, you'll see these next few pieces go pretty easily. Once I'm able to control the sheet myself, and they're broken down into smaller pieces, can break it into the following pieces a lot easier. And we're about to get a cameo appearance by Cam Labs Fall Guys Scottsdale, aka Scotty, aka Knothead. So with this video, we're more or less showing you how to build this, but not necessarily step by step, because Dr. Leo's got the plans, which we'll have in the show notes. But it's more about just kind of showing you how we went about it. We're new to making videos, so pardon us for this, but we already went ahead and made some of these guys before we actually took video of it. And rather than go back and set it all up, I'm just going to explain it. The way I did this, I have a dado blade, which is basically a set of stacked blades that go into the table saw. So instead of just having one, I have multiple blades that stack together to give me a width that I want. And that's just what I have, and it's easier. So, when I had these all cut, we did enough for 10 boxes, so we did 20 of these pieces. And we just did them all at once and ran them all through. And all I really do is I set the distance on the fence up so that wherever I want that to start at, that it will run through. But what I was going to mention is that if you don't have a dado blade, you certainly don't have to go buy one. All you really got to do is set up to be 1/4 inch high for your blade. Okay, and then you can make your very first cut at where you want it, which is to give you the 7/16 in this direction, based off your fence. Okay, and then you can keep just kind of backing your fence up a little bit, and so you can just do multiple passes with a single blade. It'll give you the same result as what my dado blade did. It's just, for me, I did it in one pass. But certainly I would not go buy a set of dado blades just to do this one rabbit joint. And these are where the bees will actually enter into the swarm trap. So, I think these aren't exactly as perfect as they could be, but they're pretty good.
Or pretty.
And I mean, we're choosing form over function, or function over form, I guess. The reason for the slant here, so if you look at this, this will be the front. The reason for the slant, and again, I don't propose to say any of this, this is our first attempt at swarm trapping. Dr. Leo was saying that that will help prevent water from dripping inside of the swarm trap. So this is just a quick way for us to do out a bunch of these, which is just to use the template, which is one that we laid all out with a square and such, and then get this guy marked out.
So just drill a hole in the little picture, the diagram that Luke drew or made, so he can use the jigsaw to cut those out. That's all.
Right, so all we're doing here, Jill took and drilled the hole out, and that's just to give me access to put the jigsaw blade down in. These little side slants are a little hard to cut because you can see they're not much different than the width of the blade, so it's kind of a little hard to turn. I've been trying to figure out the better way to do it, but in the end, I'm kind of just going, and whatever radius I can get with the jigsaw is what that is, and then that's as good as I think I need to do. It is important that when Jill drills a hole, their 1/2 inch is what the dimension is here, and she drills a 1/2 inch hole so it touches on each side, and then I just gotta zip over here, take that little corner, and then over and over, and then take out that. Pretty quick, we'll do it. Zoom in from this angle. So like I was saying, that's where the hard part comes in right there, just because of the jigsaw. So you see, I didn't exactly follow that line on that one, but it's kind of the angle that my jigsaw could do. But in the end, it's still okay. I mean, it might not be perfect, but again, I think on these we're more about just about the function of them, not so much how exactly perfect they look. All right, so we've got our pieces cut for the box part. We still have other pieces to cut, and we're probably going to have to do that in another video, which will be for the top of this, and we'll probably build our own frames and such as well. But for today, the point of the video is the box, the main box assembly. And when I worked off of Dr. Leo's plans, the thing I came to is when we went to put it together, how all the pieces went. So we thought we'd start by showing you a box that we have finished, and then we'll build one together. So the important thing to see here is that these are the two walls. In Dr. Leo's plans, these are called walls, and these are called end walls, and this is the bottom. So the important thing is obviously you want one of them that we cut the slot into and one that does not have the slot. On the inside, on these two end walls, this rabbet that we cut into here, 7/16 deep this way, 1/4 inch deep this way, they need to face inward. Okay, so it would be very easy when you're putting this together to either have these be at the bottom or to be turned and facing outward. So when we build it, it's important that these are facing inward, because when you put your frames in here, they're going to slide in and sit on this lip here. Okay, so putting these together, we got our pieces that we need. We can zoom in and show you all the dimensions here, but essentially there's these 4 pieces that are needed to make one of these boxes. We have a bottom, and then 2 end walls. So that's how we'll start, by attaching the 2 end walls to the bottom, and then we'll add in the wall with the slot, and then we'll add in the wall. And basically all you really got to try to do here is keep everything square, so that's why we have the square here. And again, these are more about function over form, so we're just, putting them together pretty square. We happen to have an air nailer that we can use these staples on. They're like a 1-inch staple, or 3/4 these ones were, but 1 inch or 3/4. And so we're gluing the joints, and then we're using this stapler. It just happens to be what we have. I would probably recommend that you glue, and make sure that when you get a glue that you get one that's outdoor as well. So this is interior and exterior. Important that it is able to be used outdoors, as that's where these are headed. But you could screw these together on the joints. You could nail them together. It's really up to you and whatever tools you have. With all these, I would never tell you to go out and buy other things that you don't already have. So figure out a way to do them. If you're going to screw them, you should pre-drill them so that they don't split on the edges. Because if you don't pre-drill them, they will crack and split badly. Probably not as bad with nails. But so let's start building one. So we're going to start by taking 2 of these and 1 of these guys. Okay, and the important thing to note on the one that we've built here is that this bottom, when we build it, it is surrounded by the other pieces. So this is right up inside of the box.
It's flush.
It's flush as well, okay? But we've actually spent more time to get this top part flush than we have the bottom. So these are just going to go on here like so, and all I'm going to do is put a small bead of glue, if my glue will come out today. So small strip of glue. And then Joe's going to video and hold this for me. Okay, Joe?
Sure.
Okay, and now we'll rotate that over. And obviously this was the important part. This has to face in. Really important. It would be so easy to mess that up. So easy to do. So on this one, we need to make sure that's facing inward. And again, we'll start with a small strip of glue. Okay, and Jill again is going to help me hold this. Get the first one on. Scotty, you're being so helpful, being caught up in my hose. Okay, so we're going to take one of these, which is the walls with the slot. Again, we start with the glue. Bit of glue. And your glue does not have to, I probably even got it on more than it needs to be here, but it's just a thin strip, and it's really more about just making sure nothing moves later, because these little nails aren't much to hold it, but these little nails combined with glue will be more than perfect. A little more up there, same thing there. Okay, and now what you kind of can't see back here, but I have this square laid on the table, and I kind of just use that. So I'll hold the back side, and Jill's going to reach and pull this over so that it closes in this gap, and then we'll put the lid on. Oops, yeah, just that's enough. You get the top flush there for me, Jill? Okay, it's good there. I got it. Okay, put your fingers. Get that. This looks good down here. Just take a quick, so it's nice and square still, so that's all good. Pull this up so it's, we like to pull them up so they're flush on the top, because ultimately a box cover is going to sit on those. And what I was going to say about these staplers is really important not to have your fingers there, because sometimes these staples will jump out the side of the wood, and you would not want to have your finger there if that happens. The other thing is that these slots obviously have to be down towards the bottom, facing this way, so that the angle faces this way. So that's another important assembly part. Okay. Okay, so now we've taken the last one, which in Dr. Leo's plans is just called a wall, and that's what's going to go on next. Again, another shot of glue. Oh, glue. Okay, why does this have to be fighting me? There we go. I should have another coffee. I don't think I'm stable enough. Okay. And really, because we've squared up the bottom part, these tops should stay pretty good right now. And this one really doesn't matter how it goes on, because there's no slot in this one. There's no upper groove, and there's no slot in the front. So this one just goes on. We line up the front and the side, and we start by just attaching one corner. And then that one corner allows us to come back and get the next corner, because the box could tilt a little this way. And all I'm going to do there is I'm just making sure this is flush and this is flush. And essentially, once those two are done, there's not much more the box can move. So now it's just a matter of attaching it. Okay, and that's as much as it took to build that far along in the box. So we're going to go ahead and put the rest of these together, and we'll touch base when we build the top and the rest of it.